Here's what happened this time around. An epic conversation happened between Alex Ramosi and Chris Williamson. It came out 2 days ago as of this recording, and it now has over 200,000 views, which can tell you that the insights they share in it resonates with a lot of people. It resonated with me. And the point that I want to get into today is lying. They talked about lying. Alex specifically shared how the only way to know if someone is honest is if they have the opportunity to lie, and the importance of stepping into telling the truth, especially when you can lose status socially or lose status with your reputation. Being able to step into it with integrity and share the truth is something I believe I strive to do and focus in on, especially with my commitment to you with this podcast. So let's get into it today. This is Make Burnout Sing Podcast. I'm Robert David Weeks. So to start today, we got to go into the problem, which is lying, what that does for us in our life. And we think about that in work and personal life, relationships with friends, family, partner, coworkers. When we're lying, what can happen is we can put on this mask of appearances and false narratives of who we are outwardly to other people, and then even put the mask on for ourselves, which I think about in my own life. I have gone from lying habitually as a kid going into adulthood. A lot of that was inward, lying to myself of what I was capable of, and getting into victimhood was a lot of my narrative of blaming everyone else for my problems, my challenges, not taking responsibility for my actions. And that transitioning from victimhood into taking responsibility, and with that being honest in my communication as best I can, and continue to work towards that each day as a choice for honesty, which again goes back to this commitment of being direct and honest with you. And when I mess up, owning up to those mistakes and sharing that with you. So going through that transition into honesty, that there's a lot of pain on that spectrum. And what I want to do today with you is to break it down for terms so you can understand the terms that will go through, like lying is one of them. Then how specifically telling lies moves you faster to burnout. What is physically going on within the body. And from there, I want to share with you personal stories of two specific plays that you can try out. I'll share them right now for you so you can have them. The first play is let me get to it. First play is not true play. I always go between that, or is it lying play? This is the not true play. And the second one is telling someone that you lied, which is very difficult as expectations come for that, and super rewarding for how you can feel after you did that. But let's get back into the definitions to kick it off with. I'm going to get to my list here with my buddy Merriam-Webster. Let's get into it. We're going to start with lying. Lying. The definition of lying is marked by or containing untrue statements. When you read that, it's understanding, well, what the hell does true mean? Because I have this journal that I carry around, and it's like a booklet that I have the values that I believe in and currently am striving every day to make sure I honor and commit to. Two of them that I want to highlight is courage, which for me, I state it as courage to take actions that are true to me without knowing the outcome. So I have true in there. And then the second one is honesty, to express my true feelings and thoughts and insights in a sincere and caring way. And I realized looking at this, I had two truths, and I really had not I didn't define what true meant. So we're going to go into what does true mean for a definition from Merriam-Webster, and that is being in accordance with the actual state of affairs. And then the second part of that is conformable to an essential reality. In this world that we're living right now, especially with the developments of AI, and I mean, there's a lot of misinformation that can come up where one person says, a certain belief And then all of a sudden you see someone else sharing the complete opposite belief and saying this is the right way. It's like all of these are the right ways. This is where critical thinking is so important for us to come in and bring that into our lives. And then how we are communicating with ourselves and communicating with others. And when we can critically think about what are we accepting as our reality and making sure we are honoring what the truth is for us. And how I look at that is, what are your current feelings in this moment when a situation happens? What are those for you? What are your current feelings? What are thoughts that are coming through that you can just like look at and observe? But what is the actual reality? Not what is the rose-colored glasses, or yeah, I mean, taking away the rose-colored glasses and seeing it for what it is. Can we look at it with ruthless honesty as to the reality that we're in, and for the feelings? That is really important to come as a baseline for yourself, because then what you're not doing is you're not creating excuses for the challenges that are in front of you or that you're dealing with, or issues that present themselves in the day-to-day with work. I think about that with communication with other coworkers, to projects, dealing with clients, having to navigate the politics that happen in the workplace. When we can look at it from that lens of ruthless honesty, it gets a lot easier to then understand how you can move forward, because it creates clarity when we can see it for what it is. The other one I want to add into with this is, when you face that truth, which can be very hard. I mean, there can be a lot of pain that can come with that. But what I can tell you is, on the other side of that, thinking of it as a bridge that we're going across, when you go onto the other side of it, what comes through is confidence that starts to just fill your fill within you, and then also pour out of you out into the world. People notice that, but it's very out there, like kind of it's the word that someone said that really I resonate with is ethereal. I think that was Chris who said that. It's very ethereal for a word. It's hard to grasp what exactly confidence is. So if we go to the definition, this one I really like with confidence, and that is from Google. It's the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something, firm trust. Now imagine being able to have confidence build up by you facing the challenges and looking at it for what it is, the trust that starts to build with you. Okay? When you have that trust within yourself and the confidence is there, that permeates out for other people to then believe in you for the trust. And when we tie this into burnout, it's really powerful, because how this connects to burnout is, when we think about lying, what happens for the body, what it triggers, and this is from an article of, let me get to the title of it, Psychology Today. It's the title is "The Truth About Lying and What It Does to the Body." And what happens is, when we even think about it, here's a quote for it: symptoms of anxiety arise because lying activates the limbic system in the brain, the same area that initiates the fight or flight response that is triggered during our other stressors. So if we think about it, when we think of lying, and we have that increase in anxiety, and then the stress increases, and we are lying habitually, which is something I can relate to. When I was growing up as a kid, going into adulthood, I felt I had to be perfect, and I felt like I had to please everyone else for how they wanted me to show up in life. Being the youngest of three boys, like that was like, and then having two parents that were teachers, and then throughout my life, I had individuals coming in that were very confident in what they were saying, and their opinions and views. And so that instilled in me that everyone else knows better than me, is what came up. It was nothing that any of them put on me directly, like by verbalizing it. It's just how I felt from what I was receiving. So bringing it into, then, if you're doing that habitually for lying, you're creating that, you're increasing that anxiety and that stress to get it into a chronic state of stress. And when it becomes chronic, that initiates then the immune response, which creates the chronic inflammation, because it's trying to figure out the problems, but the problems just keep coming up, and there's no way to solve it and close and end it. So then what happens is that leads into the chronic exhaustion, and now we're hitting the first red flag. And then that just compounds into the domino effect for the other ones of going into negativity with your work, personal life, and the world for the second red flag. And then the third is terrible performance at your job and in your work. Now, if you are honest, you do a few things. If you're honest, you take away that potential anxiety from the anticipation of lying. So there's a moment to help decrease your stress levels and cortisol levels. And then the second thing is honesty then builds the confidence because you are starting to trust yourself and trust the words that you're sharing with others and also with yourself, which then allows you to not have to always doubt yourself, which again then lowers more levels of stress in your life. So it's like a cool package of 2-in-1 when we focus on being honest. Now to get into the play, okay. The first play that I want to highlight for you is the not. I always struggle with the lying, and then it's the not true play. It's the not true play. There's got to be a better word for that. I'm gonna think of a better word for you, but just take it as is right now. The not true play, which is whenever you have a moment where you've realized you've lied to yourself or lied to a person. I remember recently I was in a car ride with a family member, and I remembered I had that moment of lying. It was like a white lie. It was that white lie that we can all experience. We have those moments of white lies, but then I had to acknowledge that for myself. I said, "Oh wait, I lied in this moment. I acknowledge that, and now I'm going to remember that for moving forward because it creates a connection within my brain of saying what I just said is a lie." And so that then it helps me when it comes to future conversations, anytime that were to come back up. And so that's recently what happened. Another example was leading up to my burnout in 2018. I was lying a bunch where I had this moment of thinking I had to be perfect when we got featured in the Forbes article. And I remembered not being able to communicate with my team, how I was feeling emotionally and physically, realizing I was in financial trouble and having to try to figure out how to make things work. But I was alone in that because I did not want to communicate and burden people because we can feel guilty of telling the truth, of we're worried that we're going to offend someone, where we're going to say the wrong thing of like, oh, you don't look nice in that outfit, or actually I really don't want to go meet with you and go to this party coming up. I don't want to go to the movies with you. Like, I want to have my time for me, for alone time. All of those situations can create for us the feeling of guilt. And we got to realize that it is not worth the price that we have to pay to lie. And that is something I can tell for you is that we do get to a point where if we decide with this play of not true, of being aware of it, you're going to get to a point in this journey where you will realize you feel like you have a heavy blanket on you, where you get every time you lie, it is like a little ping jab. For me, it's my jab in my side. I just know it. I feel it. I'm like, oh, that was a lie. I lied. And it's this like little jab that then can compound into a bigger and bigger and bigger energy that then feels like it's this heavy blanket of burden on you. And you get to a point where your body can't take it anymore and it just wants to rip it all off. And that's where I believe we get into these crises, like a quarter life crisis came up for me. And then you get like the midlife crisis. But you have these moments where it's like trying to rip it all off and figure out what is the truth. What is the truth that you want in your life? Where do you want to travel towards for the vision, and understanding what are going to be the steps that are going to be necessary to take you there. And I really like this quote from Jordan Peterson, which is, the pathway to who you could be if you were completely who you were is through the truth. I love that. Like, from an energy standpoint of like going through that pathway, there is going to be a lot of pain that can come up. But on the other side of it, of the doorways of possibilities that this opens up for your life, from a confidence, from opportunities externally, it is something that's waiting for you. It's there. It's us having to courageously step into that and take action and move into that direction. And I will tell you, I honor you if you're about to enter into that, or if you're currently into that, because it is fucking hard. It's fucking hard. Some days you doubt it. Some days you make mistakes. We're not perfect. We're going to have these moments where we do lie. But we got to recover from that. And most importantly, we got to own up to that. It's something I believe that our society could be so much better off if we focus on taking responsibility for the words we say. And when we do mess up, or when we do lie, owning to that for the people that we've lied to. And that brings me into then the second play. And this one can be a tough one. I would say this is a next level. And that is when you tell someone that you did lie. When I think about this one, I can think back to a situation where it could be with a partner. And you get into those arguments where it's just, and sometimes over stupid shit like that like you look back and you're like, we didn't need to argue about that. And you both agree. But in the moment, you're heated. You got like a lot of energy that you're putting out there of this negative charge that can go out, and then you can say something that is a lie, just so that you could win the argument and be right. And whatever that is, I'm sure if you've ever been in a relationship, or let's say even with coworkers or with friends, you could have that argument. You're like, I'm gonna fucking win this argument and make it happen, and then you try to figure out alter the facts and try to make it work. And yes, you'll maybe get that feeling of the rush of like, oh fuck yeah, I did it. Like I get it, I get you on that. But then it's the ping of the lie, and that sticks with you, and then that's gonna again increase that levels of stress that we feel. Like fuck, I lied. So it's in those moments where we can be courageous, and something that is so fucking respected, and that is to tell someone that you lied and to be genuine in expressing that. And what that then does is, yes, it's going to be painful in doing that. You'll have to deal with the look, the grin, the laugh, they give you that little like side eye. And you do feel like that little kid, who did something wrong growing up. Like I get it. I've been there for that feeling. But then you can celebrate the effort of you doing that. No matter what outcome you get on the other end of this, you get to celebrate like, fuck yeah, I did that for myself, to be honest. And from there, what usually happens, not all the time, but usually, is that other person is going to respect you even more too, because you were willing to be honest with them when you made the mistake. And that is a powerful gift that you can give to yourself, because I think back to Pinocchio. We all remember Pinocchio, where whenever he lied and he was dishonest, his nose would grow out. And I got this distinction recently in a video I watched, but it was when Pinocchio's nose comes out, what that represents for us is the cognitive weight that we feel of the consistent lying over time. Each lie builds on itself. And what happens is we can't just lie once and then be done with it, especially if we're lying about the mask that we're putting on in life. Because then you have to live that every day. And that could be with your partner, it could be with your coworkers, your friends, your family, of not being truthful as to what's happening. And it's not that you don't have to share it, but you have to now, you don't have to share the truth if you don't want to share it in that way, but to continue to lie becomes a burden that builds mentally, and then it goes to the rest of the body. And I don't want that for you, because that is a one-way ticket to burnout. And what I want to help you do is to reverse that and move in the other direction to make burnout extinct. So that's a play that you can try, is to tell someone, if that's a coworker, partner, family member, friends, you can tell them that the next time you lied, or maybe it was recent that you lied, just let them know, hey, I want to tell you that I lied about this situation, and this is why. And I'm sorry about that. And you will be amazed as to what starts to happen for you and what you start to feel inside. It creates a deeper level of connection and trust with other people. It creates a deeper level of connection and trust for yourself. And then from there, you become bolder in how you communicate out into the world. And so that you clearly can articulate the thoughts and feelings that are in your mind that you wish to speak out to others. That becomes so much easier. And I so vibe with this quote from Mark Twain. It is a banger of a quote. It's this by Mark Twain. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. The weight on our shoulders that gets released with this is fucking awesome and incredible. And so the question I have for you is, who is it that you're going to need to talk to? Who do you have to have that conversation with for something that has happened recently, or well, it would be something recently. Who would that be? And then the next time, if it does happen, who is it that you're gonna let them know that you lied? I'll leave you with 2 quotes on this one to end it here, because I know this is a lot, and I want you to realize, for me in this journey, I do think back to throughout my childhood, going into adulthood as a kid, I realized I had been lying so much and putting that victim mode on myself. And now I'm on this path of honesty. And again, I've mentioned that the commitment to you of being honest, genuine, and direct in how I'm communicating to you. And when I do make those mistakes, owning up to them and making sure I minimize that. Because I go back to like the event with the social media conference, I keep saying to myself, it gave me a powerful insight in the importance of honesty, of how I want to step into integrity. And it's an experience I never want to have ever happen again. So you learn and then you change the behavior. And that is a powerful gift that you can give to yourself. 2 quotes I'm going to leave you with, both by Jordan Peterson. First one's this: one way to increase the probability that things will unfold for you properly is to not lie. And then from there, the truth is the adventure of life. You got this. You can do this. You're capable as a human being. And I'm excited for you to step into this next chapter of life and to decide how you're going to take these plays and try them out in the next few days. Fired up for you in this next part of the journey. If you like this episode, please don't forget to rate this podcast to help get this message out of Make Burnout Extinct. And you can share what resonates with you from this episode by connecting with me on Instagram or LinkedIn. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode. I don't take it for granted. As always, I don't. And excited to reconnect again soon.